character syndrome. Who told these people they were special? Welcome to Seriously Sus, a podcast exposing shadiness with a side eye, hosted by Nanette and Miranda. And we're going to uncover the cultural ridiculousness and internet chaos that make you question humanity. So get your side eyes ready because things are about to get seriously sus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Seriously Sus, the podcast where we dive into crime trends, internet culture, scams, influencer chaos, legal misunderstandings, and all the wonderfully bizarre ways humanity keeps making us ask, what is wrong with us? I'm Nanette,
And I'm Miranda.
and today we're talking about one of my absolutely favorite internet phenomena, main character syndrome, or as we're calling the episode, who told these people they were special?
Honestly, the title says it all.
It really does, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but it feels like we're living through an epidemic of absolutely breathtaking audacity.
The confidence, the entitlement, the complete utter lack of self awareness.
People filming in the middle of busy airports, getting angry because travelers walk through their shots.
Ugh, swear to God. Influencers demanding free vacations just because they have followers.
Gym creators expecting everyone else to stop exercising while they record.
Seriously, I barely chiseled out this hour to go to the gym anyway, and now I'm supposed to stop because you want to record right now?
Right?
Live streamers harassing strangers and then acting shocked when someone gets upset?
It's like somewhere along the way, a small but very loud group of people became convinced that they're the star of reality, while the rest of us are just wandering around waiting for our cues.
Like we're all just NPCs in their video game.
Absolutely. Before anyone says it, we're not talking about all content creators. Although at this point, y'all should know us by now but still, let's get our disclaimer out there. There are millions of creators making funny, educational, inspiring, and genuinely entertaining content.
We're talking about the ones who seem to believe that having a ring light makes them exempt from basic social norms.
Because this isn't really an episode about influencers, it's an episode about entitlement. It's about ego. It's about the psychology of attention. And it's about what happens when social media rewards people for acting like the rest of the humanity exists solely for their convenience or inconvenience.
Basically, the audacity.
The audacity. So today we're asking one very simple question. Who told these people they were special? Let's get into it.
And did they buy their audacities at Costco in bulk?
Have you ever been in public and watched someone behave in a way that made you stop and think, wow, this person genuinely believes they are the most important person here? Not the smartest, not the funniest, definitely not the most talented, just, the most important.
The person who blocks the entire grocery store aisle just to film a TikTok. The person who gets angry because strangers walk through the background of their video. The person who believes the entire gym should stop functioning because they're recording content. You know, the person who thinks waiting in line is a personal attack, or the influencer who acts like buying their own lunch is somehow beneath them.
Right. The common theme here is the bizarre belief that other people are somehow less real than they are, that everybody else is just background scenery in a movie of their life. These are people with main character syndrome.
Now, to be clear, main character syndrome isn't a real diagnosis. You won't find it in a psychology textbook yet.
Yet.
It's internet slang for people who seem convinced they're the protagonist and the rest of us are just supporting cast or unpaid extras.
Very unpaid extras. But honestly, most of us have a bit of main character syndrome from time to time. We're all the center of our own experience, and that's normal. The problem starts when people forget that everyone else is also the center of their own experience.
Turns out every stranger you meet is living an entire life. Who knew?
Oh, no. Apparently, not some people on social media, because if you spent any amount of time online lately, you probably encountered someone operating with an absolute breathtaking level of self importance.
The audacity, the entitlement, and the complete inability to understand that other people exist for reasons unrelated to them.
My favorite examples are the people who get mad when normal human activity interrupts their content.
Right? Yeah, somewhere along the way, people just started treating public spaces like they're their private movie sets, and the rest of us, apparently, we never got the memo.
Imagine walking into a Starbucks and being furious that other customers are present.
That's basically the energy. It's almost as if the world wasn't designed specifically around your content calendar.
A controversial theory, I know, but this isn't really an episode about annoying people. We've done annoying people. We'll probably do them again because the internet has an unlimited supply of annoying people. What we're interested in is why this behavior seems to be everywhere now. Why so many people seem convinced that they're the main character. Why some influencers become completely detached from reality. Why prank creators, and you all know what I think about them,
Mm.
think harassment is comedy. It's not. Why content creators act like rules are optional, and why social media seems perfectly happy to reward it all.
Because somewhere along the way, a lot of people stopped asking, should I do this? And started asking, will this get attention? And that tiny little shift may explain an awful lot about modern internet culture.
So let's talk about how we got here. Because main character syndrome isn't new. People have always wanted attention.
The difference is that most people historically only had the ability to annoy a limited number of people at once.
The good old days.
I know, don't you miss it?
Right? Before social media, if you wanted attention, you had to work a little harder for it. You could be the loudest at the party. You could be the neighborhood gossip, the coworker who somehow makes every conversation about themselves.
We've all met that person.
The one you can hear talking about your appendix and somehow respond with a story about their vacation.
An incredible talent, honestly.
But attention used to have limits. Your audience was finite. Your reach was finite. Your ability to embarrass yourself was relatively contained. Then social media arrived and said, what if attention became measurable?
Man, I miss it when we could embarrass ourselves in small groups.
Right?
And then people, they just immediately lost their mind because now attention, it isn't just attention. It's the likes, the comments, the views, the followers, subscribers, shares, engagement, number. It's like intoxicating.
Yep, exactly. Human beings are very competitive creatures. The moment somebody turned attention into a scoreboard, things got weird.
And people always make stuff weird.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically raccoons.
We really are. You give humanity a little number that goes up, and suddenly they'll dedicate 20 hours a week to try to make that bigger.
Especially if other people can see it.
Mm-hmm. And social media platforms don't necessarily reward the most thoughtful content. They don't necessarily reward the ones that are most educational. They don't necessarily reward the most useful content. They reward the content that keeps people engaged.
That's an important distinction because engagement can mean a lot of things. Maybe people love your content. Maybe people hate your content. Maybe people are horrified by your content. Maybe they're arguing in the comments. The algorithm doesn't particularly care. It's basically the world's least responsible talent scout.
Exactly. Its only question is, are people paying attention? Not, is it a good idea? Not, is this helping anyone? Not, should this person be encouraged?
That's someone else's department.
A department that apparently no longer exists.
Budget cuts.
Mm-hmm. The algorithm sees a train wreck and says, interesting, let's show this to more people,
And suddenly, someone who should have been ignored is now internet famous.
which creates a very strange incentive structure. Because if attention becomes valuable enough, eventually people start optimizing for it.
Translation? People start doing what works.
Exactly. The shocking thing, the controversial thing, the outrageous thing, the thing that makes everyone say, oh my God, can you believe this person?
And unfortunately, being ridiculous is often easier than being talented.
That might be one of the most important sentences in this episode. Because some people spend years learning a skill. Other people realize they can get the same attention by acting like a jackass in public.
That's not a direct attack on Jackass, but if the shoe fits. A shortcut many have enthusiastically embraced.
And that's where main character syndrome starts getting supercharged. Because once attention becomes status, and status becomes money, and money becomes identity, then you start creating people who genuinely believe the world revolves around them.
And social media keeps handing them evidence. Every view, every comment, every follower, every sponsorship, every fan interaction, every person asking for a photo, it all reinforces the same message. You matter more than other people, which is not a lesson most humans should be taught repeatedly.
Absolutely not. Historically speaking, that's usually where things start going sideways. And the result is a growing population of people who seem genuinely shocked when the rest of society refuses to treat them like royalty. Which brings us to one of my favorite internet phenomena, influencer entitlement.
Sprinkly noises.
Yeah? Or as I like to call it, the Audacity Olympics.
So let's talk about influencers. And again, we're not talking about all influencers. There are plenty of creators making genuinely useful, educational, entertaining, and creative content. Some people are sharing recipes or teaching woodworking. Some are explaining astrophysics.
And some people are standing in the middle of an airport recording themselves while acting like everyone else is an inconvenient.
Different genres.
Very different genres. Because what fascinates me is how some people go from, I make content online, to, I am the center of the known universe.
It's a surprisingly short journey for some people.
No lie. And somewhere along that journey, a strange thing happens. Followers stop being an audience and start becoming a source of identity.
You stop being a person who has followers and you become a person because of the followers.
Exactly. And that's where things start getting weird. Because if your entire sense of importance comes from attention, eventually you start expecting the real world to reflect your online status.
Unfortunately, the DMV does not care about your follower count.
Nor should it. But some influencers seem generally shocked when they discover that normal rules still apply to them.
Hmm. One of my favorite examples is the free stuff phenomenon.
Ah, yes, the classic, I'd love to feature your business on my page.
Translation, I would like free things.
For years, there have been influencers contacting restaurants, hotels, resorts, shops, and small businesses offering, quote, exposure in exchange for products and services.
Exposure. That's the magical currency that pays no bills.
Truth that. I love when small business owners push back because the influencer is usually stunned. Absolutely stunned.
Like they've just been informed gravity is optional.
You want a free meal? The restaurant wanted money. That's not a complicated transaction.
The restaurant can't pay the rent with your Instagram story.
Sorry, landlord, I don't have a check this month. But a wellness influencer posted a photo of our mozzarella sticks.
Problem solved.
And that's really what entitlement is, the belief that your needs, your wants, your goals, and your convenience should take priority over everyone else's.
Which is basically main character syndrome in its purest form.
Yep. And then there are the influencers who expect special treatment everywhere they go, skipping lines, ignoring rules, demanding access, demanding exceptions, and acting offended when told no.
The internet has produced a remarkable number of people who have mistaken visibility for importance.
And that might be the quote of the episode. Because being known isn't the same as being important. And having followers isn't the same thing as having authority.
Or talent, or expertise, or basic self awareness.
Definitely not self awareness. And what makes this especially annoying is that many of these people are famous for just existing.
Internet fame has created a category of celebrity where nobody knows why you're famous, only that you are famous.
There are influencers with millions of followers whose entire content strangely appears to be, look at me.
That's the content. No skill, or expertise, or contribution. Just a running live stream of their own existence. A level of confidence I can only dream of achieving.
Honestly, imagine waking up every morning with the certainty that the world desperately needs more footage of you walking into a coffee shop with the complete inability to consider that maybe, just maybe, you're not the most interesting thing happening today.
That's a controversial theory.
And yet, here we are. Because once someone starts believing they're special enough that the rules don't apply, the next step is often believing public spaces exist for their convenience. Which brings us to our next category of main character syndrome, the people who confuse society with a film set.
One of the strangest side effects of social media is that some people have apparently forgotten that other humans are actual people. Everybody just becomes a prop.
Exactly. The cashier, the waiter, the flight attendant, hotel employee, all props. A random stranger trying to buy deodorant at Target is a prop. Nobody asked for the role.
Nobody auditioned, nobody signed a release form, and nobody even got a copy of the script. Yet somehow they've all been cast in somebody else's content against their will.
Which honestly is becoming one of the defining experiences of the modern society. You leave your house to buy groceries, and suddenly you're in the background of a prank video.
Or worse, somebody's motivational content.
Ugh. A relationship skit, social experiment, dance video. Or one of those videos where someone films themselves crying in public.
Oh my God, the worst.
Ugh,
Which raises so many questions.
so many. Like, how do you even decide to set up a camera before a breakdown?
Step 1, position ring light. Step 2, emotional devastation. Step 3, multiple takes.
We laugh because deep down we're frightened. Very frightened. Because what we're seeing more and more is people treating public spaces like a private production studio.
Cry in your car in the Walmart parking lot like everyone else.
Exactly.
Oh, and then they get really annoyed when the public actually shows up in
Uh,
public.
Imagine that. The absolute audacity of filming in a crowded area and then acting shocked that other humans exist.
Can everyone please stop walking through my shot?
Ma'am, you're filming in Times Square. The entire purpose of this location is that people walk through it. It's kind of the main feature.
Yeah, it's a whole square for walking. You've been there,
Yeah.
you've walked it. I've only seen. I can't say from experience, but we've reached the point where some creators genuinely expect strangers to alter their behavior for content. Like move out of the way, be quiet, don't look, don't walk here, don't stand here, don't exist in this general direction.
Please pause your life while I record mine.
Exactly. And nowhere is this more obvious than with prank content. Nanette's favorite content.
Ah, yes, the ancient art of bothering strangers and calling it comedy. The content that annoys me the most.
No, it's your favorite. Stop. Now, to be fair, some pranks are harmless. Putting googly eyes on office supplies, changing autocorrect settings, replacing family photos with Nicolas Cage.
The classics.
But somewhere along the way, prank culture evolved into let's deliberately make people uncomfortable and see what happens. Followed immediately by it's just a prank, bro.
Which has become the unofficial national anthem of people facing the consequences of their own decisions.
Funny how it's just a prank. Only appears after somebody gets mad.
Never before. Nobody starts a video by saying, today we're going to harass strangers for engagement.
At least that would be honest.
Instead, they provoke people, follow people, interrupt people, embarrass people, create conflict, and then act shocked when someone reacts like a normal human being.
You spent 20 minutes poking a bear, the bear eventually is going to participate.
And suddenly you're the victim. Fascinating transformation.
What really gets me is how often the workers become the targets. Retail workers, restaurant employees, flight attendants, hotel staff, people who literally cannot leave.
Exactly. They're trapped. They're at work. They try to remain professional, which unfortunately makes them an ideal target for people looking to manufacture content.
And their jobs are hard enough. Stop being a dick.
Absolutely.
Nothing says confidence like harassing someone who could lose their job for responding.
And yet the creator often frames himself as the brave truth teller standing up to oppression.
Oppression being a Chili's manager asking them to stop filming customers?
The struggle is real.
Apparently.
This is where main character syndrome starts showing itself. Because underneath all of these examples is the same assumption. My content matters more than your comfort. My views are more important than your privacy. My audience matters more than your day.
And somehow they're always surprised when people object. Because people in their minds they're not disrupting reality. Reality is disrupting them.
And again, that might be the most main character thing said all day. And unfortunately, it gets worse. Because of course it does. Because there's one place where the main character syndrome has evolved into an entire ecosystem.
The gym.
The gym.
The natural habitat of the fitness influencer.
Where every workout is apparently a documentary.
Let's talk about gyms, because if you want to observe main character syndrome in its natural habitat, few places compare.
It's like a wildlife preserve.
It really is. The gym used to be a place where people went to work out. Now, in some corners of social media, it became a place where people go to film themselves working out. And those are not always the same thing,
Sometimes the workout appears to be secondary to the production,
much like Hollywood,
except with more protein powder.
unless acting talent.
Debatable.
Fair. Now, let's be clear. There's absolutely nothing wrong with filming your workout. People record themselves to check form, track progress, create fitness content, totally fine. The problem begins when filming your workout becomes everybody else's problem.
A distinction that some people still struggle with.
That's putting it politely. Because we've all seen the videos. Someone sets up a tripod, and then another tripod, and then a light, and a second camera angle, and then they proceed to occupy an entire section of the gym like they're filming a Marvel movie.
Meanwhile, everyone else is just trying not to die during leg day.
Exactly. And then comes my favorite part, someone walks through the shot.
The horror!
The absolute tragedy.
Call the authorities!
And suddenly the creator is furious because apparently another paying customer has the audacity to use the gym.
How selfish.
Honestly, the entitlement is fascinating. You voluntarily brought a film crew to a public gym, and now you're upset the public uses it. Like, it's a Planet Fitness, bro.
The logic escapes me.
There seems to be the belief that once the camera appears, everyone nearby automatically becomes supporting cast and should just act accordingly.
Which leads us to one of the strangest trends, the caught staring video.
Now, sometimes people genuinely behave inappropriately, and that absolutely happens. But social media has also produced an endless stream of videos where someone glances in a direction for approximately 1.5 seconds and is immediately presented as a menace to society.
Breaking news. Man possesses functioning eyeballs. More at 11.
Exactly. Sometimes people aren't staring. Sometimes they're resting between sets. Sometimes they're looking for equipment. Sometimes they're wondering whether they left the stove on.
And sometimes they're simply existing in the general vicinity.
I'm telling you, I'd be staring off into the space all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, that's a crime punishable by TikTok.
What bothers me about these videos is how often they remove context. A 10-second clip becomes a public accusation. Thousands of people pile on, and nobody really knows what happened before or after.
The internet has never let a lack of information stop it before, and it doesn't intend to start now.
So true. And that's really the bigger issue. Main character syndrome often comes with assumptions that your experience is the only experience that matters. Your interpretation is the correct one. Your feelings are the only relevant feelings. Your content becomes the entire story.
And once people start thinking that way, they stop seeing strangers as human beings. They start seeing them as obstacles, background characters, interruptions, problems, basically NPCs.
Which brings us to a category of creators who may be the final evolution of main character syndrome. The people that don't just expect strangers to participate, they actually provoke them.
Ah, yes, professional menaces. At this point, we've talked about people who think public spaces should revolve around them. Now let's talk about the people who seem genuinely committed to making everyone else's day worse.
The professional menaces. And what's fascinating is that a lot of these creators aren't actually creating anything, they're manufacturing conflict.
The conflict is the content because conflict gets attention. Attention gets views, and views get money. And suddenly, being obnoxious becomes a business model.
A terrible business model, but apparently a profitable one.
I've been obnoxious for free all these years. That's my bad.
I know. What were we thinking?
My bad. Now I know better.
Right? And that money is why we keep seeing the same pattern over and over. A creator bothers strangers, stranger gets upset, creator acts shocked, internet debate begins. Everybody profits except the stranger.
Who just wanted to buy toothpaste or eat lunch, go to work, or, exist peacefully for 20 consecutive minutes.
That's a lot to ask these days.
Isn't it though? One thing I've noticed about these creators is they often describe themselves as fearless, brave, unfiltered. They're the truth tellers, the disruptors.
Ah, yes, the disruptors. A word that somehow became very popular among people whose primary contribution is annoying others.
Historically, great disruptors gave us things like electricity. Check out a Benjamin Franklin episode for more.
Nicely done.
Now they give us videos of someone screaming at Costco. So, progress.
But underneath it all is the same assumption. I should be allowed to do whatever I want. And if anyone objects, that's their problem.
A philosophy that tends to fall apart pretty quickly in the real world.
Because eventually, these creators encounter a shocking concept boundaries.
Or a fist.
Yeah.
Society's least favorite plot twist, boundaries.
And here's where people like Jack Doherty enter the conversation. Not because he's unique, because honestly, he's not. He's just one of the most visible examples of a larger pattern, an annoying jackass of an example. And can I just tell you, I know it's going to make me sound like a horrible person, but how happy I am every time I see those thumbnails of a cop coming up to him for
Ha
some dumbass shit he's done.
ha! I love it.
It's not even that. It's the bodyguard. You know you're doing something fucking ridiculous when you have to have a big ass bodyguard behind you because a stranger's going to punch you. I'm
Exactly.
surprised he hasn't been sued. I saw one video where the cops came and told me he couldn't do this and he had to move. He had his bodyguard, I just lost the word, his bodyguard uh, actually step up to the cops, which
Well, that is a bold and stupid thing to do.
that is entitlement and audacity on a whole other level. All right,
Badassery.
but back to what we're here for.
Who we got Nanette all worked up. We got, she has strong feelings, y'all.
I would be horrified if somebody came up and harassed me like that. Like it would just be one of the worst experiences. So yes,
That's why you got to keep a taser in your car.
yes, absolutely.
That's how I roll.
Deep hatred for
Dumb.
people that do this sort of shit.
Let's go. Uh-huh. All right, it's really the pattern that matters. It's creating conflict, it's provoking reactions, it's treating strangers like props, and it's treating consequences like content, and operating with an almost supernatural level of confidence.
The confidence is really remarkable. It deserves scientific study because there seems to be a reoccurring formula. Step 1, do something obnoxious. Step 2, record it. Step 3, act surprised when people react.
Step 4, become the victim every single time.
How could I have forgotten that? Because one of the things that always amazes me is how quickly accountability gets framed as oppression.
You mean getting kicked out of a business, or being asked to stop filming, or told to leave, or being told no in general? You know, that kind of narrative. They can't handle me. They fear the truth. They're trying to silence me.
Sir, you got removed from a cheesecake factory. You're talking like you were exiled from Rome.
The gap between the event and the reaction is incredible. It's the emotional equivalent of stubbing your toe and declaring war.
And I think that's why these creators make such a good example of main character syndrome. Because they genuinely seem unable to imagine a world where other people's needs matter as much as theirs.
Or where the rules apply equally. They behave as though the existence of the camera creates some sort of magical little force field.
Content immunity. The belief that filming yourself magically transforms bad decisions into entertainment.
Spoiler alert, it does not.
And eventually, reality tends to push back. Businesses push back, customers push back, and communities push back. And law enforcement occasionally pushes back and needs to do more.
And check out our episode on dumb criminals because there's a lot of stuff about people recording their crimes on there.
Look at you, you're on fire today.
All right, spoiler alert, it does not. Reality is a way of ruining a good live stream, and rightfully it should.
But here's the thing. For every creator who gets pushed back on, there are thousands of people watching, liking, commenting, sharing, arguing, reacting, which raises an uncomfortable question. If these creators are so awful, why are they so successful?
And that's where things get interesting, because the audience may be part of the story too.
So, for me, this is an uncomfortable part. It's easy to point at the influencers, the live streamers, the prank creators, the gymming characters, the people treating society like their personal movie set. But if we're being honest, they didn't create this ecosystem by themselves.
They're not performing to an empty theater. Somebody is watching. You know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is commenting, somebody is sharing, somebody is sending links to their friends saying, look at this idiot, which is unfortunately still counts as engagement.
That's the thing. The algorithm doesn't understand the difference between I love this and I can't believe this person exists. Both clicks spend the same, which means the outrage often becomes just as valuable as the admiration, sometimes even more valuable.
The internet has essentially figured out how to monetize annoyance. And honestly, that's one of the most impressive and terrifying business inventions of the modern era. Because think about it. There are creators whose entire career depends on people being angry, not respected, not admired, not trusted, angry.
And somehow that's enough, which means we've created an environment where attention itself becomes the goal. Not talent, not expertise, not contribution. Attention.
Any attention. And that's where psychology starts getting involved because human beings are wired to seek approval. We like being noticed. We like being liked. We like feeling important.
It's all completely normal. The problem is scale. Historically, validation came from friends, family, coworkers, and maybe your community. Maybe a few dozen people, maybe a few hundred, not 3 million strangers.
Social media introduced something completely new, the ability to receive instant feedback from enormous audiences. Likes, comments, views, followers, and every one of those little dinging notifications gives your brain a tiny little reward.
Humans love a dopamine hit. We're basically lab rats with Wi Fi.
Accurate. And for some people, that validation becomes incredibly powerful because eventually attention stops being something they receive. It becomes something they need.
Because once attention becomes tied to your identity, losing attention feels like losing part of yourself. And then the pressure begins. You need another viral post, another reaction, another controversy, another hit of engagement.
Yesterday's shocking becomes today's normal. So the behavior escalates. Then the content gets bigger and louder and more outrageous, more confrontational, and more attention seeking because the algorithm always wants more.
The algorithm demands sacrifice.
There it is. And eventually, you end up with people who seem completely detached from reality. Not because they're evil, not because they're necessarily even bad people, but because they've spent years in an environment constantly telling them you are important, you are special, you deserve this attention. People care what you're doing, they want to watch, and eventually they start believing it.
Exactly. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people handle fame just fine. Some creators remain grounded. Some stay humble. Some continue to act like an actual normal human being.
A low bar, but an important one. But others seem to lose perspective completely. And that's really what main character syndrome is. It's not confidence, it's not the self esteem, it's not self expression. It's the belief that your wants matter more than everyone else's. Your convenience matters more than everyone else's. And your story matters more than everyone else's. And everybody else just becomes an NPC.
Once that happens, it's very easy to justify all kinds of behavior. Filming strangers, ignoring boundaries, disrupting public spaces, harassing workers, demanding special treatment. Because in your mind, those people aren't really the main characters. You are.
Which brings us back to the question we've been asking all episode. Who told these people they were special? And perhaps more importantly, why did they believe it?
So, what have we learned today?
That society was a mistake?
Maybe a little harsh.
Fair. All right, that social media was a mistake.
Closer.
That tripods should require permits.
Now we're getting somewhere. Because honestly, I think the biggest takeaway is that main character syndrome isn't really about social media. Social media has just made it visible and profitable.
I just had like the vision in my head that, are you not entertained?
Right?
Because humans have always wanted attention. We've always wanted approval. We've always wanted to feel important. None of this is new. What's new is the scale. What's new is the fact that attention can now be measured, tracked, ranked, monetized, and it's turned into a career.
Which means we've accidentally created a world where the loudest people often get rewarded the most. And unfortunately, the loudest people aren't always the smartest people
Or the kindest.
or most self aware.
Definitely not the most self aware.
But here's the thing, actually think that most people suffer from main character syndrome. Most people are perfectly normal. Most people understand basic social constraints. Most people don't expect the entire gym to stop functioning because they're filming a deadlift.
The bar is on the floor.
The bar is in hell. But the reason the main character syndrome feels so common is because the people who have it tend to be very visible. They're loud, they're disruptive, they're attention grabbing, and the algorithm loves attention grabbing.
The algorithm demands the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And so the most entitled people become the most visible people, which creates the illusion that everyone is becoming like this. When in reality, most of us are just trying to buy groceries without accidentally ending up in somebody's content. I mean,
Right?
maybe you're wearing pajama pants. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, yeah. Most people aren't filming strangers. Most people aren't harassing workers. Most people aren't demanding free vacations because they have 1,200 followers and a ring light.
A sentence that should have never needed to exist.
And yet, here we are. Because somewhere along the way, a small but very loud group of people became convinced that visibility equals importance, that followers equal authority, that attention equals value, and perhaps most dangerously, that other people only exist in relation to them.
The NPC theory of humanity.
Exactly. But the truth is, every stranger you pass is living a life just as complicated as yours. The person at the gym, the airport, the restaurant server, the retail worker, the person who accidentally walked through your shot. They are not background characters. They're not extras. They're not NPCs. They're people.
You ever stop and just like try to imagine what other people's lives are like?
I used to do that all the time when I lived in an apartment building in New York because I'd be like, man, look at all these apartments. I wonder what's going on behind each of those doors.
Right, and you create little stories in your head about
Yeah.
all the people. Yeah, sure that's pretty normal. I hope.
If not, at least we're delusional together.
That's right. Anyway, so these are people, and they would like to get through their day without appearing in your TikTok, which is a reasonable request.
Maybe the cure for main character syndrome is remembering something incredibly simple. You're not the only person having a human experience.
Deep.
I know. Who am I?
Apparently not the main character.
Definitely not the main character. And honestly, that's probably good news because being the main character looks exhausting.
Right? Especially if you have to constantly film it.
So again, we keep coming back to our original question. Who told these people they were special?
The algorithm. And unfortunately, they believed it.
Isn't that the truth? Thanks for listening to Seriously Sus today. And remember, if you're angry because somebody walked through your background of your video in a public place, you might not be the victim in that story.
Right, take a little double think there. Take some time with
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Main character energy detected.
And that's our episode on main character syndrome.
Or as we almost called it, the Audacity Chronicles.
Hopefully that could have worked too.
We'll have to use that for some episode,
Oh, yeah.
surely.
Absolutely.
Now, we'd love to hear from you. What's the biggest main character syndrome moment you've ever witnessed?
We know you've seen some things.
We know you have stories. The person filming in the middle of the grocery store, the influencer demanding special treatment, that gem tripod menace, the airport performance artist. We want to hear about all of it.
And until next time, remember, the people around you are not NPCs. The world is not your film set. And if you're angry because somebody walked through the background of your video in a public place,
You might be the problem.
until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and above all else, stay seriously sus. You've been listening to Seriously Sus, and thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. We know there are approximately 17 million podcasts, countless streaming services, social media feeds, videos, and distractions competing for your attention. We're genuinely grateful that you chose to hang out with us.
Especially when you could have been filming yourself having a public meltdown in Target.
Please don't, though. Employees have suffered enough. If you've enjoyed today's episode, we'd love you to take a moment to subscribe, follow, rate, review the podcast wherever you're listening. Basically, just hit some buttons for us, please.
Oh, make a hate comment.
Right? We're all
Apparently
good
we
with
don't
that.
care. These reviews really do help people discover the show, and every review, comment, message, and email absolutely makes our day. Even when you politely tell us we're wrong, especially when you're funny about it. So if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment.
And if you have a topic you'd like us to cover, suspicious trend you've noticed, an internet phenomenon that deserves investigation, or just a story that made you stop and ask, how the hell did we get here? Send it our way. You can DM us or email us at seriouslysusspodcast@gmail.com. We generally love hearing from you, and we love your suggestions.
Which means some of you are enabling us.
And for that, we thank you. We'll be back next Wednesday. In the meantime, keep your side eye ready and stay seriously sus.
Now it's time. I get overexcited sometimes. Yay! Don't be a dick in public.
It's really that simple. Have a good one, everyone.